Good morning.
Good morning, Mark.
Hi, Ron. I'm Mark DeGarmo. With me today is Ron Alexander on Saturday, July 11th at almost noon Eastern Time in the US. And Ron, I'm just going to ask you to introduce yourself and give us a little bit of your bio because there's so much you've accomplished. I don't want to even stumble on that. And then also your geographic location, if you would, please.
Okay. I'm Ronald Kevin Alexander. I was born in Washington, D.C., but I really consider myself a New Yorker. I've been in New York since 1981, so that's about 40 years. I consider myself an advocate for the arts, not just dance, but just for the arts, and an activist. And that has been revitalized as of late, because of many issues that our country has been facing. Um, I actually started dancing in a program. It's called Careers for the Arts in Washington, D.C., right after high school. And I went in actually as a visual artist and came out as a dancer. I just love the idea of dance. And I continued that when I went to Boston. I was accepted at Boston University as an academic student, but I would take ballet um, on the outside, so to speak. It was not part of my curriculum. And I just fell in love with it and just kept working and kept working. And I worked in a very, very wonderful place called the Elmer Lewis School of the Arts in Roxbury. Um, and one of my first ballet teachers happened to be Billy Wilson. Billy Wilson was like, I shouldn't say that he was like the Arthur Mitchell of the Netherlands, but he was in a way because he was a principal dancer, a black principal dancer in the Netherlands. And he came back to the United States and he worked at the Elmer Lewis School of the Arts and he was the director of the dance and he was one of my first ballet teachers. And he really wanted me to stay because he had a company there, but my heart was set on really doing ballet, classical dance. And I went to Canada. And make a long story short, I got a scholarship in the school, and then I went to, they invited me to be in the company. I was shocked because that was not my plan. I just went to Canada. They gave me a full scholarship. I wanted to get the technique, and I wanted to come back to New York, and I wanted to do Broadway. I wanted to do West Side Story and all of these kinds of wonderful Broadway shows at the time. But, a contract is a contract, and I accepted it. And there I was, dancing with and dancing in ballets by Eric Brun, Rudolf Nureyev, John Normeier, really distinguished artist of that caliber. And then I went on after I left Canada because I got tired of doing core work. I mean, Sleeping Beauty, and there's just so much of that you could do, and Swan Lake and Coppelia, and all that was wonderful. But I wanted to do more contemporary work, and I did that. I went to I was in the Frankfurt Ballet and the Hamburg Ballet, and after leaving Germany because I became very, very homesick, I danced for a couple of seasons at the Metropolitan Opera House. So that's just my performing career. That's just my performing career.
Well, Ron, it's mind blowing. I knew there was a lot of depth. I've gotten glimmers of it on Facebook and whatnot when you're posting, historic records of what you've done. I also know you from Lincoln Center Institute in the days that Maxine Greene was the philosopher in residence.
Absolutely. And I'm thrilled to say that I've worked with practically every major arts organization here in New York City, starting actually with Lincoln Center Institute. I worked with the Lincoln Center Institute with Maxine for several years, quite a few years as a matter of fact. I have worked at Clark Center for the Performing Arts. I have also worked for the Harlem School of the Arts. I was really the director of the dance program there. I worked with Dance Theater of Harlem under Arthur Mitchell, which was a dream come true because I always wanted to work with the organization. I didn't get into the company, even though I did audition I did not get into the company, but he did take me. He asked me if I would be interested in working in the school, and I said yes. And one thing led to another. I was a school administrator. But what I am doing now, oh, and I've also been on faculty at the Ailey School, which I absolutely adore. But I was a former director of education at the Youth Arts Academy and Restoration Art, and this is Brooklyn. Really my first time working in Brooklyn, and this was really, really exciting, and this has led to something that I'm particularly excited about doing. It's called the Black Arts Institute, and it's basically geared toward emerging artists of color, uh, uh, basically actors, but these are actors who not only want to perform, but they want to direct, they want to playwright, they want to sing, they want to dance, and I teach them movement. So that's my bio.
And I know that's only partial, but thank you for the synopsis. Ron, I'm just going to go off script a little bit. I mean, we've just responding in real conversational form. Speaking of your activism and history in activism, could you just speak a little bit about the intersections with the arts and dance and activism and your own experience and your own opinion today, the significance of artists and dancers, choreographers' participation in Black Lives Matters, other protest movements, other resistance to what's happening in the United States today?
Well, that's a real loaded question, and I will try to tackle that the best that I can. As far as being a Black artist, I think being a Black artist in the United States, you are inevitably involved in a Black arts movement, whether it's Black Lives Matter, whether it's the Black Panthers. I mean, you cannot help but produce Black art being a Black artist. I mean, this is my opinion. I've always actually have had this activism as a part of me, but it was hard. For example, when I worked in the Department of Education in New York City, it was very, very, very difficult to be an activist because they were just concerned about numbers. And when I say numbers, they were concerned about the population of students being in that school because that's how they got funded. Um, I think, and I went into the Department of Education hoping that I could make changes. Um, and the fact that I stayed for 10 years, and 2 years of that was actually working in the Bronx as a principal of a school there. It was called High School for Contemporary Arts. I still had high hopes, um, and I still do. But I felt that I did as much as I could do in terms of reaching a population of students, and not just Black students, but white students as well, people from all kinds of racial and economic background, in terms of teaching dance, because that's what I loved and that was my passion, and that's what I felt these kids needed to have. I mean, it was uh, it was sometimes, that's quite often, I would have students who didn't even really have an interest in moving, but they would come to my studio to hang out, to hang out. But I think they were there because they were inspired. They liked the positive vibes, they felt comfortable. But eventually, I got a lot of them to participate in dancing. I mean, you just couldn't, just hang out in my class, especially if you were a guy. You just couldn't come and look at the girls or whatever you were looking at. You had to get up there and help. You had to be a part of the process. So that would be part of my activism as far as the Department of Education is concerned. And I, 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 I felt the 10 years with the Department of Education really changed my perspective in terms of working with students. It was actually even more defining. I said, this is the population that I want to work with. Mm. This is the population. These kids do not have the opportunity, for whatever reason. And I stayed there for 10 years, but I'm still working with that population as well as an older population, students who have been products of the of public schools, which I still, I still have faith in to a certain extent, and private schools and colleges and universities and conservatories, but still my heart is really with students who have been disenfranchised, if you want to use that term.
Yes, it seems like an appropriate term.
Yes.
Very, very sadly that we're still seeing it today in 2020, the disenfranchisement, which seems quite systemic and quite deliberate in many ways.
It is, absolutely it is. It is. And, what has been an eye-opener is that people, white people, Caucasians, white folks, and I'm happy to say that I have a few friends. I have a few white friends. I mean, this is not say I'm horribly racist, but even those white friends are blind to the depth and the horror that many Black people have to face on an everyday basis. I mean, all we want is fairness in terms of employment, in terms of housing, in terms of all kinds of opportunities. Why in 2020 we are still begging? I mean, that's what it is. We're still begging to be a part of the American society. Why? It's really, really unfair. And unfortunately, now we have this on top of the pandemic, on top of our president. I mean, this is these are crazy times. As I had mentioned to you before, we have entered the twilight zone.
We have indeed. I hope we can exit the twilight zone altogether, not just the white privileged rich people or people that have sucked up the entire country's resource, with the 10 families that seem to own everything in this society, and it's only getting worse. And Ron, again, I'm so sorry we're on a short form interview because I feel like we could speak easily for
hours. And Mark, we will do it. You and I will do that.
Okay, thank you.
This is the tip of the iceberg.
This would be very rich for me personally and professionally. And I'm wondering what you might offer young Black people, young people of color who obviously are facing these daily aggressions, what have been called micro, but obviously are not micro. These are major racist attacks on just the Black body in America. It's like an American apartheid is what I'm starting to realize.
It is.
What advice can you give our youth to keep the faith, or what advice might you, as someone who's experienced this country now for the number of years you have?
Okay, this may sound very simplistic. Don't give up. Don't give up. If you have a passion, if you have a goal, you have to find a way within yourself or find people that will support you and help you, because they are out there. You can't be shy. You have to be you have to have a lot of balls. You have to believe in yourself. And it's very, very difficult to do that sometimes when you have so many factors against you, economics, people telling you that you can't, people telling you that you're not good enough, people telling you all kinds of stuff. Somehow you have to really continue to believe in yourself and not give up. An example of that is this. I'm working with this organization called the Black Arts Institute, and it was founded by a number of wonderful actors, but also the main person behind it is my executive director from Billie Holiday Theater, Dr. Indira Etwaru. And she happens to, she's African American, of course, but she's gotten these wonderful, wonderful actors to be a part of this organization, founding actors like Felicia Rashad and people of that level. But we've been going actually for about 2.5 years. And this is the first year that we've had to do it virtual. And I thought it would be impossible. I really thought it would be so impossible, but it's been beautiful. We don't have as many students as we would like. Usually we have 30, but we have 10. But I'm telling you, it has been a phenomenal so far. And we've only had 1 week, just 1 week. But it's just been incredible with our speakers and teaching the movement on Zoom and trying to accommodate their space in their apartments and their houses. And I mean, it's been incredible. It's been absolutely incredible. And this has revitalized me. I mean, this kind of teaching, this kind of almost one-on-one, relationship with these kids, even though there are 10 of them, but they're all very, very, very special and all unique. And when we had a discussion just the other day after the movement class, I basically asked them, what are your physical limitations? I was stunned. I mean, they had issues with their bodies that really surprised me because I would not have known it, because they were doing the work. And I said, well, I really should have asked this at the very beginning, and I didn't. But I'm glad we took the time. But the whole idea of this is that don't give up. Don't give up. You need you need as much movement in your curriculum as you need the dialogue work, as you need all kinds of coaching that they're getting. You need the movement, and they agree. I know I kind of went on, but that's okay.
No, Ron, you're just, as usual, extremely eloquent. There's so much content and depth of life experience and education. And I'm so grateful for having the chance to speak with you. And please, I hope we will speak again for sure.
We will.
Ronald Alexander, thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Oh, this is it? Okay, all right. But I just want to say, Mark, you and I, we have very similar experiences. We got through the AIDS crisis. We got through Hurricane Katrina. We're getting through COVID-19, and we will get through Trump. I hope I can say all this.
Ronald, I am hearing the voice of my beloved mother who passed in January.
Oh, wow.
And
I'm sorry.
she was from the era when if you were getting a job upstate New York in a school district like she did, you had to, in the interview, confirm that you were a Republican or you wouldn't get the job. And so when she came of age and finally switched parties out of deep belief for women's rights and the right for women to choose and LGBTQIA plus rights. And she marched with me in one of the gay pride marches. And she was a powerhouse. So I'm hearing my ancestors speak through you today as well.
I am so I am so honored, really. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. You have made my day. Well, the interview was fantastic, but that last remark was just fantastic, Mark. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend.
Okay. So we will be in touch. Seriously.
We will.
Okay.
But don't go away. I'll
Oh,
turn us off and then let's keep talking for a minute.
okay.